Good evening, everybody. It is Thursday, August 22nd, 2019, and welcome back to your Mr. Video Game Live Super Show brought to you by Dead Sun Entertainment. Everybody, it's a great day today on a Thursday. Let's have ourselves a good pat on the back and round of applause just for being awesome people, all of us. As always, I am Slacker Kite. I basically do the move screen stuff on the show, but we also have two other lovely people on with us today. She won't get bought out by Disney. She already knows she's a princess. It's Lindsay, aka Marilyn!
I would be a self-rescuing princess variety, but yes.
And he has a lifetime membership to Game Informer, so was expecting at least 3 more issues. It's Brian, aka Wonderboy!
It's too soon. Oh God. I didn't read that before the show. Now I feel real bad. Oh my God. Anyway, how's everyone else doing now that I've
Now that we've made people sad.
no, I mean we'll get that a little bit later in all seriousness, but I'm just like, God, what a dumb week for the industry I work in. God. Anyway,
It's been a dumb week all around, to be honest with you.
it has. It has. I mean, I was all ready to make an XFL joke like as soon as you like called my name out on here because that's dumb. I'm talking about some dumb shit, but you know, I mean, come on, like. I'm just gonna I'm just gonna make my joke anyway.
mm,
Like, look at the logo for the Tampa Bay Vipers and tell me that doesn't look like a vagina.
hold on. Tampa
Just look at it. Tampa Bay Vipers.
Bay Vipers.
This is an XFL team.
Uh, yeah, let me,
Oh, they're putting a vagina on the football helmets, everyone. Lord help us.
let's go ahead and move over to that screen. Yeah, Tampa Bay Vipers, right there. That's, no, I don't want to receive local news, ABC. That's fine. Let's
I don't
just,
know. That's the least of things though with the XFL right now. I don't want to get into that. I could go up on for half an hour on that bullshit. Anyway,
as if people who have seen the screen already might know, hey, Brian, you've been playing anything lately?
oh, you been playing things?
Yeah?
I played a game called I Bought a Switch, and with that Switch, I bought a game called Fire Emblem Three Houses because that's the first game you buy when you buy a Switch, right?
Absolutely. Have you decided on who your waifu is yet?
No, that will come at a later date, but I have some ideas, and I swear to God, if this game does not let me romance Linhart, I am going to throw something through a window. I want the sweet sleepy nap time man to be my boyfriend right now.
Do
Just as long as you don't throw the switch through the window.
No, 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 no. I'm far too cognizant to do that. At least for the most part. No, like, and also, but like, in all seriousness, uh, Fire Emblem is a series that I have not played a ton of,
hmm,
mostly because the series is mainly known for its entries on the handheld Nintendo systems, and I have not owned a Nintendo handheld system since the Game Boy Color. So these games basically have passed me by in a lot of ways. I dabbled with some of the GameCube ones here and there a little bit, but never really got sucked in. But I'm a sucker for a really good tactics game like this, and Fire Emblem is obviously one of the more renowned franchises in that genre. So this game does not disappoint on that end. It is very deep and complex in the way that you want a Fire Emblem game to be. I will say I've heard some complaints from players and people that are more familiar with the franchise saying that the combat might come off a bit too easy compared to other games.
Mm.
I actually, the dude who sold me the game at the shop that I went to told me like you should go ahead and start playing on um, was it classic instead of classic, and which is like the harder difficulty, or no, classic is the one with permadeath,
Mm.
and then the harder difficulty, if I'm anywhere near familiar with these games, because basically like a lot of people have been complaining that a lot of the enemies are like it's very easy to one shot them. The casual game play style, which I am playing through on casual right now just because I want to get my bearings, the first playthrough, instead of your forces dying outright in the permadeath mode when they fall in battle, they just are gone for that battle and they come back at the later on. So like they've definitely changed the game around a bit to make it more accessible to players that haven't had a ton of experience with Fire Emblem. I am totally digging the story though in this game. I think more and more the Fire Emblem games have kind of leaned into the story, uh, like in more intricate ways, I would say.
Mhm.
And Three Houses did not disappoint. I chose House Black Eagles, per the recommendation of um, one Aaron Garst, who is a very good games journalist out there. Shout out Aaron. Also, by recommendation of my cat, who distracted me while I was holding it and made me accidentally choose that house. Um, because I was originally going to go with the golden deer because Claude can get it. Um, so, but no, but like the story is really interesting. Like basically, like you're this like nameless, or not necessarily nameless, but like you're like the son of this like of this former captain of the royal guard. You go to this monastery. The story's long, complicated, a lot of different systems in there. I'm only about 8 hours in, so like I haven't hit the time jump that's in this game.
Mhm.
Um, but there's a this the story goes places from what I understand and what I've read. So I'm super intrigued by it so far. It's got me hooked, and I am very happy with what I've seen so far.
Yeah, knowing you, I would say it's probably a better option for your first game than maybe a Breath of the Wild. While one of my favorite games, I can see it not being everyone's. It's a 7 out of 10. Mhm.
Totally. Well, that's the thing. I dug Breath of the Wild. It's just it was just one of those things where I feel like I wanted something more direct to start off with.
Mhm.
And also like it also plays into like not just me, like my partner also. My partner has never played a Zelda game,
Mm.
and like that I thought about buying Breath of the Wild specifically because of that. But they're also very into anime, and this game is anime as fuck. So like
It
I know it's
definitely
something they would
looks
be
like
into.
it.
Oh yeah, oh it's anime as fuck. It's awesome. Like there's like a green haired ghost lady that keeps like gives you the power to rewind time, and she's always like saying like, "Why don't you know that I'm here whenever I'm always here, but you don't know because you can't." It's weird.
Okay.
Yeah, green haired ghost lady.
So how about you, Merwin? What you been up to?
I've been diving into Hyperlight Drifter. Um, I'm a fan of like the older 8-bit or 16-bit and 8-bit video games, and so this makes me happy in all the right ways. I definitely advise playing with a controller rather than your keyboard, as I did for most of today. It would make dodging and stuff a lot faster. Um, but it's gorgeous. There's literally no dialogue in the game, no
Okay.
text boxes, nothing. So you'll meet people that have like little tiny icons above their heads, and if you interact with them, they'll give you essentially like a short story done in essentially comic book panels. And
Nice.
so like you can piece together, oh yeah, so there's a really big bad boss, and then it'll like fling over and like ping your map where they are. and so much panic is to be had. It has like moments of just absolute zen where you're just wandering around and exploring, and then the next minute you are absolutely mobbed by like 10, 15 enemies and you're doing everything you can to try to stay in one piece. It's so much fun.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's a game I've always seen but never really gotten into. It looks good though, especially it is a beautiful looking game.
Yeah, and like when I read the description of it that it was a 16-bit RPG, I'm sitting there going, don't know. But like even from the map, like it's so pretty and the world is freaking huge
Oh yeah, I believe
because
it's like a
there's
20-hour game for Hyper
at
Light Drifters.
least
Yeah.
and like this is just the overworld, like there's subterranean levels as well. And it's just insane. Like it's half a puzzler trying to figure out how to get from place to place, and the other half is trying to stay alive and figure out what the hell happened. But the most I can gather is like there's this massive cataclysm, and like the world as we knew it kind of ended. So like civilization is kind of wrecked.
Who cares about civilization though?
So 20 years in the future.
Yeah, pretty much. But like this is what being shown right now, where he's standing in front of a mirror. You don't expect to be able to see a reflection in a 16-bit game. And it makes me so happy.
Yeah, it's the
It's
level of
just
polish to their design philosophy that really got me about Hyper Light Drifter.
very much so. Like, it is one of the most ridiculously polished games ever. And it's got like a perpetual autosave system. So if at any point you decide to exit, it'll go, hey, the last autosave was X number of minutes ago. Do you still want to quit? Um, the only downside is there's no manual save points.
Hmm.
Oof.
So, but I mean, the thing autosaves no less than every 3 minutes.
Nice.
So it's uh it's it's really easy to just keep going.
All right. You may, by the way, hear the lovely Lady Goggles singing. She is far off downstairs on the other side of the house, but it still travels.
That's how
Either.
these things go.
What's that?
So this how these things go.
Mm-hmm. Either way, so last Sunday I did a little bit of playing, and I probably will do more of this on this Saturday evening. I'll be busy on Sunday, but anyway, we beat Hades, or at least as much of Hades as is currently published, and did a few runs of Dicey Dungeon. And I have to say, the game is more charming than I had given it credit for, especially the moment where I became a bear. It entirely by accident. I became a bear for the rest of the game. I'm like, holy shit. It has a lot of amazingly silly ass moments in it, and um, I mean, the way the game progresses is definitely unlike a lot of other roguelike games. Usually with the roguelike, it's a fairly static thing, but instead, they give you a lot of new ideas in the game. It's not just about you're given a certain roll of dice and go with it. Each character, the way they generate their dice, even, can be entirely different. Like we are seeing the robot here. He has basically. It's basically like playing blackjack with them. You draw, and if you draw over a certain number, then you bust, and everything, you can't do anything. So you have to choose when you draw more dice that you put inside of your cards so that you can do moves. It's fantastic.
Ah, this.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I stopped by on Sunday and instantly fell in love with this game. I'm definitely going to be picking it up.
Yeah, and it's on sale right now for 12, but I believe it's $15 normally. It's a cheap game that you can get pretty good hours out of. So, Yeah, continuous recommend. But you ready to get to the actual stories of today?
I do have a. Well, never mind. I'll leave this off. I was gonna make a dumb joke about football again because something really stupid is happening out in Oakland right now. It's really dumb. Anyway, sorry.
No worries.
Just dating our podcast.
Let's get to the top story of the day. Even more layoffs have come from GameStop this week. A large number of editors for the magazine Game Informer have also been let go, and a large part of their editorial board was let go, but it had more to do than just the Game Informer side. It seemed to be a whole lot of management restructuring going on right now within GameStop.
Yeah, basically upwards of 120 employees were let go this week, including the 7 Game Informer editors and writers that were let go. But the the other people were let go from GameStop's headquarters or their executive uh, divisions. So it looks like the email marketing, inventory management, licensing, and multiple other departments um, experienced layoffs. Um, yeah, this just things keep getting worse
Yeah, there's
for
something
GameStop.
weird going on with GameStop. They don't seem to be. I don't think they're going out anytime soon. But all of the restructuring they're doing, and we're not seeing a whole lot out of their physical store market. I went into a GameStop, just happened to the other day because it was next to a donut place I was visiting, and it looked the same as always, honestly. Despite the many statements of we want to change the experience of GameStop. I don't know if that's just mine here in the Buffalo region, or if that's a universal thing.
No, that's it. It's pretty much the same for the most part from what I've seen. Because I was in, oddly enough, I was next to a GameStop on Saturday, and yeah, they haven't really whatever they're planning to do to change the stores or to update the stores. They haven't implemented that plan yet. I don't even know if they're out at the planning stage with that just yet. Um, they're much more in a slash and burn type situation right now because like basically these moves were made to cut costs. Um, like I know the Game Informer put out their regular podcast and YouTube series, the Game Informer show, earlier today, in which the EIC of Game Informer, Andy McNamara, was on there talking about, the bemoaning the loss of the people there, but also saying that like there's still some d- details about how the magazine is going to operate up in the air. They're still going to continue, but they don't know. There's a lot of details still to be hammered out. They don't know like where a lot of the work is going to come from in some instances. So I can only imagine that if there's a bit of a shaky foundation going on with Game Informer in some ways, that can only be tenfold for the actual brick and mortar stores going on right now. Um, I know, like in some conversations I've had with other people, there's been a lot of talk about like this being sort of like some predictions being that this is sort of a precursor to, the company either trying to sell Game Informer outright or the company itself trying to sell itself again, even though the last time they tried to find a buyer for the company, no one wanted to touch it. Um, I think the more that they slash and burn, the more financial requirement that they cut, the better they look to a buyer that is looking to just basically gut the thing. Which in all reality, like it's looking more and more like the the outcome in this situation, which is terrible because that means a lot more people are going to lose their jobs because GameStop just was not able to keep up with the changing business. I mean, right now I'm looking at the stock numbers right now. Their stock
You
is
too, huh?
it's under $4 right now.
Yeah, it had a drop all the way before this announcement of $3.20.
Yeah,
And then seemed to rebound a bit after this, which, okay, I guess I can understand why. It looks like a power play to investors from the outside and seems to be going up. Now, whether this is a continual upwards trend or a continued loss, like the further out you look on this, the worse it appears, right? Like once you get to 6 months, they were at $12 not long ago. They've lost like three-fourth just over this year of share.
yeah,
Well, I know that they did have a $9 million or a 900 million dollar shortfall to their planned profits this year.
yeah. I'm looking that up real quick. I'm gonna show the number.
It was a stupidly large number. I remember there being a nine. And I remember being in the millions. I just can't remember if it was it couldn't have been nine because that's like a drop in the bucket. So it was either 90 or 900. But that's part of the reason they're citing for these cuts, which is dumb. What I'm really curious about though is, oh, there we go. Missed earning expectations by $90 million.
There we go. Okay.
Um, yeah. So what I'm really curious about though is I know one of their editors is currently in Germany at Gamescom and
Yeah,
he was let go. I want to know what happened there. Like, did they still let him stay in his hotel that was paid for by the company? Does he still have a return ticket? Is he now stranded in Germany? Like,
I would definitely hope so. Like that is, the least that these companies do usually when there's a layoff and somebody is on travel is, yeah, keep your hotel room, keep your flight. It's already booked, We've already spent the money, so hey,
but
enjoy it.
most companies will also wait till you're back before they lay you off.
It depends. If you're talking a large company with, thousands of employees and employees are routinely traveling, if they're going to make a cut that size, it may be while you're out, which is gross, but okay.
yeah, and it should be, keep this in mind. This is the second round of layoffs this month alone from GameStop. Earlier this month we talked about how they let go a number of district managers from the company. So this is just going to keep being the trend, I feel, unfortunately.
And yet, the EB at my local mall is currently looking for an assistant manager,
You don't say.
right?
Well, they're certainly going to find men with experience for that. Woo!
And they're offering minimum wage
Of course they
as an
are.
assistant
Ooh,
manager.
gross.
I applied. Did I hear anything back? No,
You
because
don't
I
want
figured
that
it'd be good for a
job.
laugh. No, I really don't. My paychecks would disappear because games. Although mostly PC now, so consoles not so much, but Funko Pops. Gotta get all the pops. The collection needs to expand.
All right, moving on to our next story coming out of Vice, a pretty interesting article. Microsoft contractors have been listening to your calls and your Xbox things. Basically, it's for quality assurance, so they say, is that they have been listening to both your Xbox data and your Skype data in order to understand the quality of your experience and how good their translation service is going. Now, according to Microsoft, they canceled this project a few months ago, but that means that they were doing it for multiple years.
Yeah, I mean, granted, a lot of this looks like it applies only to people that were trying to have their Skype conversations translated.
Hmm.
But even then, it doesn't like it doesn't mean that this is anywhere near in the right. Especially considering that they don't Skype does not disclose that some of that translation work is done by humans, according to the report here. So, like, that's a really harsh thing to not disclose. I mean,
Yeah,
we you saw like all the hullabaloo that happened with the Facebook stuff around this. I think earlier this month again, um, where like they were, or it might have been late July. Anyway, they were transcribing conversations in Messenger, which also super gross. So,
yeah. I don't
but
have the article up, but it also comes for the Xbox. Why can't I remember the voice command thing for the Xbox now? Either way, the voice command thing for the Xbox, whenever you speak to it, they have been listening as well to make sure that it's actually following your orders for that as well. And the contractors in question on that project said it was mostly children that they heard. Um,
oh,
Asking Xbox primarily to open certain apps or download all of the games. But with the Skype calls, some of the things were a bit more personal that it asked to transcribed, and as stated by several of the employees, a lot of the stuff could clearly be described as phone sex. It was just snippets of conversations that were leaked. But there you go, a contractor getting paid $10 an hour probably listened if you either used your Xbox for voice command or translation for Skype.
Yeah, this is just this goes back to the whole like the Google Home thing where it was and the Alexa, like the rise of the in-home assistants, where it was, back in the our parents' generation, it was, oh my God, be careful, they're going to wiretap your phones. And now it's, hey, wiretap, show me what's the best recipe for pancakes. Um, Although Apple and Google did recently suspend their use of human transcribers for Siri and Google Assistant. Um, and I mean, I've got a Google Home Mini literally sitting beside me right now. But thinking that like Cortana, which is the Xbox and Windows 10 assistant, I mean, I've yelled at my computer more than once to make it do stuff, and then the Skype thing, and it's just no, 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 stop, bad.
no, and one of the main issues I have is actually something that the contractor that was interviewed in this piece by Joseph Cox, talking about how he could hear people, using voice commands with or using the voice. Um, I don't know, my brain's not working right now. Basically, being able to speak addresses into to Cortana, and like they're saying that these contractors are not provided with user identifiable information, but I'm pretty sure that if you can hear people saying addresses into their Cortana receptive devices, like or Cortana enabled devices, like that is super sketch. You can't
Yeah,
really. It doesn't seem like there's a good filtering system for what these contractors hear, and it should not go. It goes without saying they do not disclose anywhere that humans will hear your audio files.
Yeah, it has on all of the Microsoft devices that your experience may be used to calibrate your experience and things along those lines, but they never say explicitly that a human will be listening to what you say.
yeah,
Yeah.
because like they've got the FAQ for the Skype translator here, and it sounds really ambiguous. like Skype collects and uses your conversation to help improve Microsoft products and services. Okay, that's this call may be monitored and recorded for quality and training purposes. Fine. To help the translation and speech recognition technology learn and grow, sentences and automatic transcripts are analyzed and any corrections are entered into the system to build more performance services. To help the technology learn and grow, we verify the automatic translations and feed any corrections back into the system to build more performance services. So it's really ambiguous.
I would argue purposefully ambiguous.
Hmm.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I
I
was
mean,
like, yeah.
it's Microsoft. They're masters of legalese.
Oh, totally.
Definitely not wrong there. But yeah, there you go. Your Google Home, your Amazon Spot, your Cortana, your Xbox, they're all listening to you and they're ratting on you right now.
Stop writing down my porn searches.
So, you ready to talk about Spider Man?
Who isn't?
Spider-Man!
Who
Truly,
isn't
this
ready to talk
is
about Spider-Man?
the big Spider Man news of the week, right? And we're absolutely not going to skip out on a big Spider Man story because it's not games related.
It's well, fine then. I'll just do that for someone else because I am gonna have. Anyway,
All right, Rebecca Valentine of GameIndustry.biz reporting Sony has acquired Insomniac Games, maker of Marvel's Spider Man, last year's major release for the Sony PlayStation 4 that sold all the units. While they have made games for other consoles, they're fairly PlayStation forward, so I don't think this is a giant surprise.
it's a surprise in that Sony made the purchase. I think. Just because. Uh, excuse me. Um, I don't know. It just came out of left field in a lot of ways. It didn't seem like there was any like. I know that Insomniac works very closely with Sony, but it just didn't seem like they were really up for purchase in a lot of ways. I mean, I guess this could you could look at this as a response to the recent purchase. I can't speak. Purchases made by Xbox. You know, they've been grabbing studios left and right. Highlighted this year by them purchasing Double Fine, getting that good Tim Schafer money, or Tim Schafer games,
Mm,
and Tim Schafer getting that good Xbox money. Either way, there's money. So yeah, like that. In some ways, that makes sense. You know, really, their only real other like exclusive title a title that wasn't exclusive to PlayStation was Sunset Overdrive. So you know, it would if you were going to get in bed with a platform maker for Insomniac, it would be Sony.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think my favorite article this week from the hard drive was that Insomniac Games surprised they weren't owned by Sony this whole time. One developer spoke up, "Don't you remember how hard I worked on Sunset Overdrive?" And nobody at the company remembered.
Oh, Sunset Overdrive was good. People need to
That's
shut
so
up.
sad.
Honestly, that is probably the one sad thing about this sale is that we're never getting Sunset Overdrive 2.
Oh yeah, for sure. That is something that sadly will never happen, but I don't think it was expected to happen based on sales either. Even if it was a critically acclaimed game, I don't believe it sold very well.
I mean, it's one of those things where like the rumor is always, popped up around E3 time for the past few years because that game did have like a very like cult fan base to it and critics did like it. So, it wouldn't have surprised me if they made another one, but I mean, you're probably not going to see it now, which is fine because I mean they have plenty of other things under their under their oh god, I can't think of words today. I am so sorry, y'all.
Under their
They have
belts?
a lot of good things in their library. There we go. Like that new Ratchet and Clank, it was basically just a re imagining of the first game, but it was still fun. Like I played the hell out of that thing. It was a fun time for just a dumb like turn your brain off, go shoot some things, and turn people into sheep again. So like they clearly have a pedigree, and it looks like Sony's not really going to interfere with their operations. They're not installing any new people on a day-to-day level there. It seems like the studio's still going to operate the same way it has been, which is a smart move. So yeah, all in all, good for these guys, and hopefully they'll have some more fun stuff coming down the pipeline now.
It's also going to be interesting to see what they do because they make a good chunk of games for the Oculus as well.
Hmm.
Mm.
Will we get like a fully fleshed out Spider-Man game for the Oculus?
I maybe I think what you're gonna see first is if they can get a VR Spider-Man game going. That thing is landing on PlayStation VR
Oh,
before any
100%.
other platform.
I don't
Like,
know. I mean, there already is a Spider-Man VR game experience thing out
Hmm.
there. Was released for Oculus and the HTC Vive.
mm,
Yeah, but it's not explicitly Spider-Man, if I remember correct. It's just Spider-like.
Oh no, it's flat out Spider-Man. I'll see if I can find the trailer. I'll throw it in Discord.
Okay.
yeah. No, I think anything VR related that they're going to be working on in the future, like that is going to be PSVR exclusive, at least for like an initial period. Like, I think that honestly, I think one of the main reasons why Sony made this purchase is because of their experience working with VR. Because really, you haven't seen that they didn't talk at all about PSVR. Um, I really haven't talked about PSVR at all this year. I
Yeah.
know they weren't at E3, so they didn't have a stage to talk about it. But even if they had been at E3, there probably would not have been that much talk about it. They just don't really have a a game library um, lined up for this year, from what I've seen so far. So like, it makes sense that if they want to kind of it's heading into the new console, the PlayStation 5 era, if you were going to retool the PSVR to be more competitive with these other headsets, especially now that you're getting cordless headsets or wireless headsets like the Oculus Go and other stuff like that, then yeah, you would want a developer that has a ton of experience making different styles of games for the VR platform.
Okay, this is not the game that I remembered looking at before, but yeah, this is more Spider-Man than Spider-Man. Yeah.
And you notice who the publisher is.
Yep.
Uh okay. Okay. So yeah, we're definitely expect some play because they've already mentioned the PlayStation VR is going to continue to be supported with the same equipment on the PlayStation 5. So this, yeah, we already know where they're going.
I've seen gameplay of this, and there's only one thing that bothers me. When you're swinging, you don't get that whole arc. You tend
Uh,
to move more in just a horizontal direction. And if they
Likely to
could get
keep
that
you
arc,
from
and I,
vomiting.
yeah, that's probably why they did it, but it just kind of breaks the immersion for me, which is a little saddening.
That's fair.
Also, I'd love to watch somebody actually play this, like see them flailing around because I think it would look hilarious. It'd look like little kids trying to pretend that they're on monkey bars.
All right, you ready to get into some controversy that is totally not Disney related this time?
Sure.
Sure.
All right, let's drop in on good old Apex Legends.
Ooh, I like Apex.
This one is a shit on all sides sort of story. Let's get started by talking about cosmetics and loot boxes. So, uh, Apex Legends, to begin with on this story, had a little bit of a story going on, and they were putting out some cosmetics, And the cosmetics, if you got all of the cosmetics, boy, you could get a big cosmetic. All of that together. But the cosmetics were in loot boxes. So it was a random chance of finding these cosmetics so you could get the big old cosmetic. Their solution was to make each one of the individual cosmetics instead. You can choose to buy them as well using 1800 Apex coins, which goes about $18 in real world money. So you can choose to spend directly on one of these cosmetics so that you can get ye big cosmetic, the legend cosmetic. As you can imagine, this did not make fans of the game very happy, and during a talk with developers, the conversation got pretty heated as well, and the developers weren't having it and did not respond in a way that pleased the people of the Apex Legends subreddit. One of them, DK05, had the most interesting things to say, including, "Hey everyone, found the dick I was talking about. Guess what? I didn't even read your comment except for the first sentence and last. This kind of garbage doesn't warrant a reply, but lucky for you, I already made a comment about this earlier. Go find it." When somebody said, "Yeah, but you called someone a dick," the developer also responded, "I think technically I was calling gamers dicks? I don't know. I had a spicy lunch. Really feeling it today." And I've been in the industry long enough to remember when players weren't complete asshats to developers, and it was pretty neat. I forged a bunch of long lasting relationships from back then. Would be awesome to get back there and not engaging with toxic people or asking how high when a mob screams jump is hopefully a start. But my favorite comment, the amount of people who spend is crazy low. Most of y'all are freeloaders, and we love that, and a change in price doesn't move the needle.
Oh God.
This all ended with the big. One of the moderators of Reddit posted something absolutely meme worthy in response to this as a pinned topic. "You committed the ultimate cardinal sin. You got personal. You, as a team of professionals trying to make money, got personal. You got personal and decided to insult your playbase, calling us asshats and freeloaders. Not a wise move. We won't forget this. You set a new tone for this kind of interaction we'll be having with you. It's a cold one where there aren't any illusions about the reality of this situation. Previous notions of family are dead. We are mere consumers to you, and that is obvious. You have chosen to bring in a new era of hostility and bitterness. Well done. Great PR move." Hey, Goggles, thanks for the raid, by the way.
You're rating at the best possible time. People being shitty
Hello!
on Reddit. Hooray!
Now, I'm going to say outright, the commenters on the Apex Legends subreddit for this weekend didn't exactly have wonderfully nice words to say to begin with, and I kind of understand where the developers are coming around and like, "Hey everyone, found the dick over here. This guy's the dick." Um, Basically on people calling you out and saying that clearly you don't pay attention to your own community. I think they do. I don't think this whole loot box idea they had, and especially giving you a legendary loot box that you can buy only if you get all of the other loot boxes, is a great idea either. Lady Goggles, we're talking about Apex Legends and all of the joy of loot boxes and when developers get tired of pissy fanboys on Reddit.
Yeah, that basically boils down to a lot of this. Um, Obviously, like, I think that, yeah. look, as someone who's worked in the customer service area for a while, um, yeah, you don't necessarily. It's not kosher normally to just lash out and call people dicks, that like customers dicks and stuff like that. I get the idea behind like this whole customer is always right sort of thing, but whenever the customers are just being outright egregious in their behavior and are making like threats towards you and just are being unnecessarily vile towards you, like there's a line that honestly like it's there to be broken in a lot of ways. Like I understand why they lashed out the way they are. Think about like them in their position and how much toxicity they understand, or not understand how much toxicity they receive on a daily basis. You know, a lot of these people are forward facing. They have accounts on Reddit. They see this stuff firsthand. They receive this stuff firsthand. So like I understand totally why they would just finally get fed up and just like rail off dick at these people, because like they are acting that way and they deserve to be called out in that way. I think the place where you have a line crossed is by calling the players freeloaders. Whenever you're talking about something that's in connection to um, a loot box system that as much as I like playing Apex Legends, the their um their content delivery through loot box stuff has never been good. This is just the latest example of it. The grind of that game, like it's fun, but the grind of it is unnecessarily elongated in a lot of ways. And then to have them change the price to where you can buy it outright, but it still be like $18. Like, if that's actually how it works out, because I haven't seen the confirmation on that necessarily, but if that is actually how that works out, um, why would you sell a character skin for $18? What, like, I get it if you're like offering like here's a pack of them for like a sizable pack of them for $18, but if you're selling individual skins for $18, like that's some bullshit you're gonna get called out on. That being said, though, um, that being called a freeloader for playing a free to play game and not spending money on it, like me, um, I can see why some people would be upset about that. That is you're talking about a business thing there. It's not a personal attack. Like that is like is a personal attack related to your business sort of thing.
Yep, even
Um,
saying "and we love that" to, they
yeah,
as yeah, okay, we like you playing the game for free. You could have said something not freeloaders, though. That has some
exactly,
real negative implications.
exactly. But that does not constitute people sending developers and community managers death threats because you got called a freeloader. Those are not equitable at all, because that's what happened after all of this happened, like went down. Like all that was the public stuff. The private stuff was people getting DMs, calling out employees family members and threatening them with death as well, and all of this kind of culminated in the Respawn CEO Vince Zampella issuing a statement that was both good and bad in some ways. Basically, he came to bat for his employees that were suffering from a lot of the more toxic comments and a lot of more heavily threatened ones, but also basically said like, yeah, we shouldn't get so like what was the phrase? We shouldn't contribute to toxic and nasty comments. We need to lead by example. That's a very fine idea to have. But the video game industry has had that attitude for a while. Whenever we're dealing with these sort of elements within their fan base, and it hasn't fucking changed shit. And whenever you have people basically saying that they're going to kill you over a character skin In a video game, that constant to me, I'm perfectly fine with calling someone a dick. If
Yeah,
someone's sitting there saying they're going to like throw like firebomb my house, which that's not a direct quote from any of these things. I don't know what was actually said, but it's just ridiculous.
I get the feeling that the CEO at least sides on, the call out of the dicks. Some of our folks crossed the line with their comments, and that's not how we want to respond to be representative. However, I will always stand behind the team here at Respawn and support them on speaking out against some of the toxic and nasty comments being directed at them, including everything from death threats to comments aimed at their family and loved ones. So I'm pretty sure he's behind saying, yeah, okay, maybe some of these comments went a little too far, but we're also cherry picking which ones went too far when you can go through a whole Reddit of nasty, vile bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, also like having an open and healthy relationship with your community. Yeah, you want that. I'm sure that's important to everyone at Respawn, including the people that call people dicks.
Mm-hmm.
Like they wouldn't be calling people dicks if they didn't want that because they're super pissed off that that's not happening. But just think that Respawn started this whole conversation from a place of trying to have an open, healthy conversation about this sort of thing, and it quickly devolved because of the fan involvement in this thing. And I'm not saying that every fan is equatable to the shittiest, lowest common denominator within it. But
But
if the fans take this thing in a certain way, and you can have all the intention in the world of trying to have a healthy conversation about these sort of things and trying to cultivate a healthy relationship with these people. But if you do not like systemically, or if you do not like forcefully call out the people that are doing the worst things within your community and try and pivot away from those people, then like all you're doing is empowering them. You're basically like, I'm sure there are plenty of people that are around here reading that like stupid post that we referenced earlier, talking about the coldest, blah blah, whatever. Like I don't care. No one cares about that. That is just dumb entitled bullshit. Like get that the fuck out of here. More people are going, but the thing is, these sort of comments are going to empower that side of this. We saw it with ArenaNet last year. You know, the same thing happened whenever they fired the narrative designer. Like a bunch of people felt empowered because like we are the ones in control. That's not how these things should operate. There should be a relationship between a business and their customer base. It should not be the customer base fucking spitting venom until they get what they want, even in the most drastic of circumstances.
my uh my
Sorry.
my favorite thing to come out of this whole conversation, I've seen a few other podcasts talking about this, and for the most part, the podcasts I listen to have kind of understood why the developers might be a little bit frustrated. And the comments on the podcast, the YouTube videos, etc., have always been the same. Why aren't you talking about how bad these loot boxes are? And why are you standing up for the developers? Clearly, you don't care about a consumer. Okay, no, caring about consumer rights is one thing, but not being on the side of people who call out for death threats is another.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I doubt they would have responded like this at all if they had said, we're really not happy with this, and you're charging way too much for things that we'd really like. Could you dip these down to maybe $3, $5?
I
I
mean,
mean,
the
go
big
ahead.
thing is this is a free game. And yes, I understand the fan base got a lot heated over it, but it's also a game. You're not going to die if you don't get this skin. It's literally pixels. It's not even something you actually own. They take the game offline. You don't have it anymore. So why? Like, calm down. On both sides, everybody needs to just calm the fuck down.
Yeah, I don't see the point in this whole conversation is dumb as fuck. And wow, the line from the open letter to Respawn from from our Apex Legends. My favorite thing is also the replies on this. This is going to be a new copy of Pasta, and it's going to be hilarious. They targeted gamers! Gamers! Gamers, would you please rise? Literally the most pathetic thing I've read ever. So I don't think the majority of, actual people are on this level here. So there you go.
I just love this. Previous notions of family are dead. We are mere consumers to you, and that is obvious. No shit. If you think that you belong to a family with any corporate entity, then you need to reevaluate how you look at that corporate entity because they are not your family.
Yeah, I love Hideo Kojima games, but God, if I actually believe that he gives a fuck about
Yeah,
me individually. Now, I'm sure he gives a fuck about his fans, but if I suddenly start railing against him and say, God, we gotta get rid of these Hideo Kojima games, it's like, well, okay, whatever.
yeah,
One dude doesn't like me. Or...
yeah. Like, God, so dumb.
Alright, let's throw some more fire on this hate train.
Hooray!
I'm sure we're all excited for the least controversial story that we're going to have today. Good old Ion Fury that we were talking up just last week about how cool this game looked. But there were some issues in the game, and while we're not going to get into exactly what was said, on Ion Fury's Discord, several of the developers had several screenshots posted on Reset Era that showed them not having great thoughts on gender identity and transphobic people, or transgender people. They were being transphobic. And as well, there was an F bomb dropped in a secret developer message that was hidden in an out of bounds area. Now, the company has stated that moving forward, Voidpoint, they're going to introduce a zero tolerance policy on this type of language. They're donating $10,000 from Ion Fury's release towards the Trevor Project, and they are patching out the homophobic slur from the game. That's all positive on that standpoint, but wow, way to be a bunch of dickbags in the first place. I know that these two or three developers do not speak for all of the people who developed this game, but holy shit. Okay, I'm done.
I love that they actually use the excuse we don't know how Twitter works to try and explain away why the official Twitter account of the was it the developer or the game? Let me check real quick. The developer's official Twitter account liked multiple transphobic statements made by people on Twitter. I'm sorry, I don't know how Twitter works is not a valid excuse.
No, no, not at all. That's some gross bullshit, and it was just one developer. And the saying I don't know how Twitter works, that's bullshit. You're a fucking developer. You know how the fuck Twitter works.
Yeah.
And yet again, they're not. It's not all the developers for Voidpoint saying these things. So keep in mind, it is a two or three of the 50 or 60 people who worked on this game.
No, but I mean, there needs to be some recourse to these people. I would hope that there would be something. I know that they're making a donation. That's fine, but like these people should at least be, if not fired, then at least reprimanded in some way. Also, it doesn't help that they're talking about they had to get out. God, okay. I just opened their Twitter account, and I swear to God, the first thing I see. We've become aware of some confusion about whether Ion Fury will be censored in response or relation to recent controversy. The answer is no. We are only tweaking a rarely seen decorative sprite and removing some offensive text found outside the game world and leftover map data. Because, of course, anybody that doesn't understand why you might need to remove a homophobic slur from your game would decry censorship. Jesus Christ, people. You gotta
Oh.
be kidding me.
Well, this has been Mr. Video Games for Thursdays.
No, we're not in that shit here. Fuck
No.
that. Ion Fury doesn't get that power. Void Point does not get that power.
The fact though that they're like, oh well, we're gonna support the communities, we're gonna donate to Trevor Project, we're gonna patch it. That's all well and good. That's closing the barn door after the horses left. Like it shouldn't have happened. Period. Like you're a professional developer. Do you not have QA? Do you not actually look at these things and go, hey, this is a bad idea?
Yeah, get the bullshit out before the game goes cold. Like, I understand that this was put in a out of bounds area, so you were only seeing it through no clip. Don't fucking tell me your QA doesn't have no clip. Fuck off. Okay, so that's our follow up for Ion Fury. Let's get a little happier. Let's talk about Google Stadia.
Honestly, I'm down with talking about Google Stadia. Let's do this. I'm
Yeah.
a little bit excited because this seems like it's either going to be awesome or a dumpster fire.
They had a showcase over the last weekend that didn't show off a whole lot other than the games that are coming to Google Stadia. The releases that they're getting when they come live are Cyberpunk 2077, Kine, Darksiders Genesis, Orcs Must Die 3, Windjammers 2, Mortal Kombat 11, Destroy All Humans, Super Hot, Super Hot, Super Hot, Farming Simulator 19 Platinum Edition, Samurai Showdown, Grid, Attack on Titan 2 Final Battle, Watch Dogs Legion, Doom Eternal, The Elder Scrolls Online, Destiny 2 Shadowkeep, and Borderlands 3.
So you're telling me that Super Hot is
Super
coming to Google Stadia?
hot.
Hot.
There's some
Cool.
actually good games coming to the Google Stadia. Now, when
No,
they
you're not wrong.
when they showed them off, there might have been a little bit of frame stuttering going on, which doesn't really give you the best heart into this that this is going to be a great thing. But I've already spent my money on it, so fuck it, I am ready for the barn fire. Give me that Super Hot in full HD that stutters when I play it. I'm excited.
I mean, if you're trying to rep a streaming service, you think you'd fix that quickly. But like that just brings to mind, I think it was Microsoft from 2 years ago at E3. They went to do their big reveal trailer and it pretty much blue screened.
These things do happen when you're live, I understand, so maybe this isn't really a showcase of the best of what Stadia can do, and you can expect better, because setting up for these things is a complicated clusterfuck of series and experiences, but still, goddamn. When you're talking about streaming, you better show off how fucking good you are at streaming.
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of rumors going around that the infrastructure is not ready. So, I mean, this could just be a preview of what's to come. Those are just rumors. So, I don't know. We'll see whenever the beta launches later this year, but which I'm still debating whether to get in on that. I know you're already in on it,
Mm-hmm.
Trav,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm debating still. Buying a Switch might have put me out of that market, but we'll see. We'll see. I might have to get in on the ground floor on this. It's a good lineup, though. It's a good lineup of new stuff as well as some really good, interesting older stuff. Um, uh, Interesting though that you see. What was it? Where was it? Where was it? There was something I saw. Oh yeah, Oryx Must Die 3. Because if I'm not mistaken, that's an exclusive,
Yes, it
right?
is. That
Yes.
is a exclusive just to Google Stadia now.
Yeah. Which I'm waiting for the hullabaloo to start up on Reddit. Has it already? Have people already been
I haven't
upset?
seen anything about Orcs Must Die 3 being a Stadia exclusive, getting anything big. Let's check
Okay.
the reader comments on Ars Technica.
Um,
Oh Jesus.
although
Hmm?
there was an update as of 7:45 p.m. on this article saying that there was a clarification post on Reddit this evening that Robot Entertainment CEO Patrick Hudson says that Orcs Must Die 3 will be a timed exclusive for the Stadia,
Okay. See that
but the
makes
company
sense.
will not say how long it'll last.
I would guess a year. That's I mean
Mhm.
that's just
At least
and
6 months.
basically yeah, at least 6 months to a year, I would say. That's just kind of the general timetable for these things. But I mean, I honestly, even if it was exclusive to Stadia, like it was all, I wouldn't have thought that it would be only like it would never leave the platform. That's just not feasible outside of first party development these days. So,
Mm.
but no, I mean, it's a good coup for them. Like, I mean, I know Orcs Must Die is not necessarily the most it's not like the most high profile series, but it's a good supplemental thing to have on there, and it has its fan base. You know,
These comments are fantastic. Just
they always are. Blah.
I, this one was chosen as an editor's choice from the comments. From a technical point of view, I can see why a studio would want to make a Stadia release exclusive. It really does completely change how you architect the client server interactions, as a server can trust the clients, no anti cheat concerns, and you have much lower latency and higher bandwidth between client and server, which changes what you can do. That said, it is also somewhat consumer hostile to do a major franchise. I could see this working out well as a side project like id did with Quake Live or Rage HD to test the waters with new technology platforms, but not for the next version of your main game, at least not until the technology and market has proven itself. It's a
And
fairly
I
even keeled comment. Go ahead.
I agree with that though. Like you don't like okay, so PS4 exclusives, Xbox One exclusives, sure. But that technology is known and proven. This is something new. And I completely agree that you shouldn't be doing a major release for the next chapter in your series on an untested system.
We also don't know if the game would have taken place without the help of Google. Um, they have stated that they were able to hire more developers because of Google coming on board. Um, and the game may not have been what the fans wanted if not for Google's assistance. So I kind of get it, but also it kind of sucks that this is where we have to be.
I mean, if the infrastructure works out, what they're saying that it could provide for this game specifically is something a drastic improvement over the first two games. So, this could really it could keep this series going at a much larger scale. in a lot of ways. It's just a matter of whether tying yourself to Stadia as an exclusive really pans out.
I think a lot of people are going to hold off on Stadia until they find out, like, until Google comes forward and flat out addresses the bandwidth munching. Because, I mean, all of the reports I've seen is that it can use a ludicrous amount of your bandwidth in a very short amount of time.
All right, I've got some quickies here for you that I would like to get through relatively quickly.
You want to get to that dessert, don't you?
Absolutely, I'm hungry for that pie at the end of this, and boy, that's
Yeah.
going to be clipped. If we had a bigger audience, that would be clipped in a weird way. But out of the Hollywood Reporter, follow up to a story we've been following. Team Echo Fox. All League of Legends players formerly assigned to Team Echo Fox have been laid off over the financial dispute at this point. And as well, the LCS will be selling off Echo Fox at some point in the near future.
Yeah, we talked about this last week. Riot announced that they were putting Echo Fox's LCS slot up for sale, with a good portion of the proceeds of that sale going to Echo Fox, is kind of operating as sort of a middleman slash, I don't know, governing body. Which obviously Riot is the governing body of any League of Legends esports organization. But yeah, this was like, we had the discussion last week around that, about what would happen to their League of Legends team. Like, this is not out of the ordinary. I didn't expect it to come this soon, but if they're not going to be fielding a team in the next year's LCS, then it makes total sense why they would go ahead and just release those players from their contracts and let them try to latch on with somebody else, especially considering Riot is moving very fast to try and find a new owner for that slot in that 14 team league. So, actually, it's not 14 teams. There's 14 players that were released from Echo Fox's League of Legends team. Sorry. But yeah, no, just expected. A little bit sooner than I expected, but expected.
The new Avengers trailer is officially released. You may have seen before with us. There was a bit of a bootleg of some of the pre-gameplay that came out from Comic Con earlier this year. Now they have a more official trailer a few months later. It is a lengthy boy that basically goes through an entire stage with multiple characters. I definitely have to say this trailer looks way better than what I saw before. The AI looks like it actually has some movement to it. I don't think the sound is entirely done yet, as you definitely hear, especially when Thor's hammer hits, it doesn't sound quite as meaty as you expect from a fucking hammer hitting you in the face.
The video volume's on.
Hmm?
Video's not muted.
Oh,
Sorry, I just couldn't hear you.
okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now I
Okay.
can hear you. Sorry, I just want to make sure we didn't miss out.
Oh, no, no. I do have the audio from the game, but I've been keeping it muted because we kind of got hit a few times. I don't want to do that again. Anyway, uh, yeah, the gameplay is definitely better looking. We're getting better reactions out of hits. We're getting stronger AI movement. We're seeing more of the gameplay as well. We also get to see Black Widow and Cap in fighting. Looks fairly solid, really. Hard to complain if you're looking for a good ass Marvel game on your Sony PlayStation next year. Eh,
Sorry, I'm still hearing the audio from the video, and it's throwing me off a little bit. Anyway, like you said, it still looks good. I think that, like, a lot of people have commented, like, the game is still basically all spectacle in a lot of ways. Like, a lot of the systems within it are very from what I've seen, like they're very much like your standard class-based sort of thing, and the way the multiplayer has been describing it is really as sorry. Apparently that was on my end. I apologize for that. I thought that that was on. I'm dumb.
Yeah, don't
I'm a
worry
big
about it.
old Dumbo. um, and that being said, a lot of the multiplayer stuff seems like it's just a lot of. It just leans way more into that games as a service model that Crystal Dynamics are really trying to not label this game as, even though it totally feels like that. So I don't know. Like I'm still interested. I'm still curious about it. I'm much more curious about seeing which heroes they add on
Hmm.
to this game still. But I could see this being interesting and fun, especially for fans of comic book stuff.
What if Sony makes its own Marvel universe, but the video game universe, and brings Spider-Man from the fucking uh, other world into this as well? Wouldn't
Can
that
I
just be the
control
shit?
Can I control Venom's tongue?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because if so, you might have a winner.
That might get you an M rating. I'm just saying.
We
And
live with it.
last but not least, uh, it's worth talking about. Diablo Immortal was the what the fuck moment from last year's BlizzCon that got them a whole lot of negative ill press. NetEase has basically said as of March that they're done with the game and just waiting for Blizzard's sign off. So the question is, did they send it back to NetEase? Are they putting on the backbone burner? Is it canceled, or are they just holding off until BlizzCon takes place?
Holding off till BlizzCon takes place would probably be the dumbest thing they could do. I mean, they've already seen the reception to this. Do they really want a part two? Also, how would they pick the presenter? Are they going to draw straws in the backstage going,
Not
"All
it.
right, sorry, dude. And by the way, if you don't do this, you're fired."
But come on, Merwin, aren't you excited for Diablo Immortal?
No, because I don't have a phone that can run it.
Ah, it's a little bit of a laugh though. Before we dive into the meaty pie that I'm fucking excited for. I believe our Brian Wonderboy as well is also
I am
excited
very
for this.
I am very excited for this because I have not had a chance to dive into any of this yet. So I am rip roaring and raring for you to take me on this journey that is Hideo Kojima's weird, like piss-filled brain. Let's go.
All right, Death Stranding was shown off this weekend at Gamescom. While we didn't get a full gameplay trailer, Hideo Kojima has stated that he would love to do that, but it is being saved for the Tokyo Game Show. He did show off a couple of videos, including a new video of Heartman and Mama, the character spotlight. But the video that I want to start by showing you off with is the gameplay trailer. Let's go ahead and full screen that bad boy, and we'll skip past our little commercials going on here. All right, get to that delightful gameplay about Shyish. So, you start off Norman Reedus, just sleeping, out by, a nice, delightful scenic pasture. And you can sit here and watch Norman Reedus sleep as long as you fucking want to. But eventually, someday, you and your BB gotta wake the fuck up. Though look at these polygons. Aren't they great? Aren't they delightful?
It's a beautiful engine.
Mm-hmm.
I
strap
like that
yourself
his
in.
hat says bridges.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Totally not a metaphor.
Not at all. First thing you wake up, take a little piss. Yeah.
Totally.
And Hideo Kojima mentioned, by the way, that part of your multiplayer experience is how you interact with the world may change the world for other people. So, if more people piss on this particular mushroom, it may continue to grow. You do not get to see, however, any Norman Reedus junk. I apologize.
That's alright.
So, yeah, you get yourself some nice little mushrooms growing on the field, and I'm just going to go ahead and move forward a little bit because, hey, you get the idea. Pulls a ladder out of fucking nowhere, despite the fact that he's got this huge ass inventory bullshit all over his back. We don't understand exactly what's going on there yet. But hey, you can pull out ladders and bridges, and you can climb up everything. Oh, hey, look, it's a little human settlement going on. Wonder who that could be.
Who is
It's got a skull on the side. That's kind of weird.
it? This looks stunning, honestly.
Got some pictures on the wall. Looks like he's a fan of something.
Oh, did he put Kojima in the game?
He did not put Kojima in the game. Even better. Who are we making a delivery to? Who's our good boy? Ah, it's Jeff Keighley.
Oh, great.
Yes, because everyone who is a friend of Hideo Kojima appears in this game. He apparently is a fanboy of something that you deliver stuff to, and we now know that the necklace that good old Norman wears is literally a key. It's what is used to connect to the global network to make deliveries.
Huh.
So all the speculation and what does all of this mean about having 5 keys on the necklace that have all of these weird Einsteinian relativity things on it? It's literally a key that unlocks a global network.
I mean, let's be real. Like, nothing is ever one thing in these games, in a Kojima game.
Oh,
It
never.
could still, yeah. So there's still probably something odd going on there. But all I know is right now, just after seeing Jeff Keighley in this game, I want to know if Mark Cerny is in this game. I need to know if Mark Cerny is in this game.
Yeah, he's a huge fan of the whole UCA. Just, you know.
Bringing people together, hologram clapping.
Hmm.
That's Jeff Keighley, all right.
Norman Reedus a little awkward, and he falls off the cliff.
Hooray! Oh no.
And his baby is angry. And you can coddle your baby to make sure he's happy. And part of one of the clips for Deadman is showing how you connect your baby to the network, and it connects somehow to one of the still mothers who are sitting about, just kind of there and existing, and somehow they connect to each other, and he feels more like he's in the womb.
Huh. All right.
So there you go. That's your trailer. But my favorite thing to come out is from Games Radar. Josh West believes he has put everything together about what Death Stranding is about. And I think he really does fucking have this, cuz all of the other things, all the BB, all of that, he's saying is Windows dressing. You are retracing the steps of Emil, the daughter of the President of the United Cities of America, who before embarked on a journey from the east to west coast, which we actually do see a map of a journey from east to west, with a convoy in order to spread a message of peace to humanity. But after a previous catastrophe that happened in central Knot City, um, where basically a whole lot of fucking people died in a terrorist attack, the cities of the United States decided to go it alone and distance themselves from each other. So what is believed is that what you are actually carrying is literally, it's a literal fucking bridge to a global network so that you can reunite humanity with a message of peace and positivity to work together before we all die from being separated out into individuals and figure out what happened to Amelie, the president's daughter. It makes a lot of sense.
It does. Like I think like after I can't remember if it was the last little information dump that Kojima gave us about this game. Like I think the connection thing was pretty prescient there. I think as soon as you saw the ladders come out, it seemed like oh ladders, and then like they worked for a company called Bridges. Like yeah, we get it. So like that makes total sense. Like it seems though like this is just in a lot of ways that this might just be like a walking simulator on steroids.
That's what a lot of people are thinking as well. Um, there are probably going to be a lot of cities with some interesting things going on. We don't know what gameplay looks like. We know the fact that that it's not a stealth game, so we don't entirely know what Sam here has in his backpack of engineering feats. We do know that there is the whole dark side, the land of death, and whenever you die, basically you spend time there and you have to reconnect back. Probably go back to the city as far as mechanics go, is the most likely bit of it. But we don't know, like, what combat might look like, if at all. Now, to me, it looks like there definitely will be some form of combat because there's these weird, gross skull dudes who are wielding void outs, the ability to basically drop the other side, drop death into the world. So there's bad guys, and it's not as if Hideo Kojima doesn't know how to make a shooty gun gun bang bang. So I have to imagine that's involved in some way as well.
God, it seems like every time he comes out with more, this game just raises more questions. And honestly, like that's the perfect way I want it to be with this game particularly. In a lot of ways, like yeah, I want clarity, and I think that you get enough clarity with a lot of the like sort of like vague explanations of the systems within it. But oh god, this game.
I would be perfectly happy if literally the entire game just ends up being a series of pitches and ideas and little clips from Hideo Kojima that never actually turns into a video game, and just every time there's another conference, he shows up to reveal a little bit more that's just confusing enough to keep everyone going, what the fuck are you talking about, Hideo?
Well, I mean, we do have a release date, right? So
Yeah. Uh,
yeah, so like we have to eventually have a fully like comprised thing in our hands. I think that's coming out before the end of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
November the 8th.
Yes, so very soon. If you don't hear from me in November,
Mm.
you'll know what I'm doing.
But see, I don't want it to ever happen. I want this just to keep going with all of this weird goddamn bullshit because this is the Hideo Kojima I love more than anything. This what I don't know what this is, but I love it.
Yeah, but we really don't want this to become another like meme-worthy internet legend like Duke Nukem Forever.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's my only real thing with with that theory, which is a great theory, but I eventually do want to get my hands on it because think about this. If I think about how odd it is just looking at this thing from the outside,
Mm.
imagine what you're going to find. Like this is just the stuff he wants you to know is there.
Hmm.
I mean, to be honest, with how he operates and how he just mindfucks the hell out of everybody who plays his games, I wouldn't be surprised if people who are actually working on this game, I wouldn't be surprised if they couldn't tell you what this game was.
No, you're entirely right. And yeah, this game will come out in November, and once Tokyo Game Show happens, we're going to know what the gameplay looks like. We've got a great idea of what all the characters involved are. We have a really good idea of what the plot is. And it seems as if the whole BB thing is a whole bunch of bizarre fucking science fiction that is what Hideo Kojima loves to do. Your connection to the Death Stranding is your BB. Okay, what does that mean? But there you have it. That was Mr. Video Game Super Show for August the 22nd, 2019. But of course, as always, we cannot finish a game of Mr. Video Games without declaring who is our Mr. Video Game for the week. Who, what, when, where. It is something that has done something so bad, so amazing, so stupid, so great that you can only look at it and go, that right there is video games. And this week's winner of Mr. Video Game Super Show, Mr. Video Games is Michael Burry. Now, you might remember Michael Burry from the big short that he did on when the real estate market crashed.
Oh yeah, the subprime loan dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
He is going long on GameStop and has invested $300 million. No, $3 million of the $300 million share buyback authorization to GameStop. He is now a 3% owner in the company.
good for him. I I this makes no sense.
There's betting on a long shot, and then there's betting on the horse that was shot in the pasture. Like, I. This hurts.
His statements to Barron's were next year's console, still using optical disk drives, is going to extend GameStop's life significantly. The streaming narrative dovetailing with the cycle is creating a perfect storm where things look terrible, but it looks worse than it really is. And he also says we're at a low tide on the cash balance. The balance sheet checks out for me. So, despite the fact that GameStop is trading at $3.50, he's bought in with thousands of shares and is now a major holder in the stock of the company.
Well, now we know why the stock went back up above $4 for like a very small amount of time on the 21st before it dropped back below $4 today. I mean, look, here's the thing. I get that having optical drives in the new systems still creates some sort of market for disc-based game delivery,
Mm.
but he clearly is ignoring the fact that a majority of platforms this year, or at least a few platforms this year, have seen digital sales like supersede actual physical sales. So like, there's a clear trend that people buying video games, they're doing it more so by buying them digitally, and he purposefully omits that from his explanation, either because he doesn't understand that or he just doesn't. He wants to make sure he wants to mold this narrative in a way that makes him seem like he's right, and he's trying to convince other people to get in on this. I don't know. This just this.
He strikes me as a person that doesn't shop online for anything. And so he's completely missing out on the fact that, yes, I could go to work, then go to the mall and try to find parking and then fight through crowds and then get to the store and then buy the thing and then bring it home and then put it into my machine and then not be able to play it until the next day after I get home from work because updates. Or I can queue the download before I leave for work, have the updates run while I'm at work, and play as soon as I get home.
Yeah, yeah. This is asinine.
I mean, the dude is way smarter than I will ever be, especially with money. So I wouldn't be amazed if he's onto something here. But I would be amazed if he's onto something here.
Honestly, this just screams like him wanting to get some sort of percentage so that whenever they do eventually sell to a company that will probably likely try and flip it or gut it, that he can find some way to get those profit off of those shares once the sell happens. Because more than likely, if GameStop sells, like you might see a spike in the value of the stock, and he might be able to get a small return on this. But that's the only thing I can think of right now.
And might I throw out, congratulations, the one-time Barons is going to make it as a article feature on Mr. Video Games. I can imagine seeing Barons showing up a whole lot.
Yo, shout out to Wall Street.
Because, the three of us are the most capitalist of capitalists here in our society. So,
Totally.
Oh,
hmm,
yes.
just hear about that stock and bond trades. Woo!
God. I was gonna make a Goldman Sachs joke, but I don't even care anymore. I think I'm just done.
Well, this has been Mr. Video Game Live Super Show, brought to you by Dead Sun Entertainment for August the 22nd, 2019. But I'd like to know, Brian, do you have any final words for us this evening?
Sorry, that might have been a little bit loud in the microphone there. I apologize. Well, I would say one, don't listen to Michael. I forgot his last name already.
Burry, I
Barry,
believe.
whatever. Burry. Oh yeah, don't listen to Michael Burry. Um, that's a dumb play. But outside of that, I've done a lot of stuff this week covering some of the more upsetting stuff to come out of the esports realm in the past week or two. But I will say I ended the week with a very nice story about our favorite gay black furry that is really good at Mortal Kombat, Mr. Sonic Fox, because he is planning a big live stream marathon this weekend for raising money for charity, specifically LGBTQ charities. He's going to play through the stories of Mortal Kombat 9, 10, and 11.
Ooh,
And he's saying that he's basically going to try and stream for somewhere between 48 to 72 hours and
holy
just
cow.
try to raise as much money as he can in that time span for these. He said he cites H Bomber Guy's Donkey Kong cast from earlier this year as inspiration for this. So it's the thing that just keeps paying it forward. So that's going to get started on Friday evening, I want to say. He's only announced the Trevor Project as one of the charities um, that's going to be benefiting from this. Although he wants to add two more, and he's taking suggestions from his fan base for that. So it's not just going to be the Trevor Project, but this should be pretty fun. It's odd though because it's starting the same day as Philosophy Tubes um, fundraising live stream on Twitch, where he's reading the complete works of Shakespeare, raising, raising money for Samaritans, a suicide prevention and awareness charity. So a lot of good charity stuff going on Twitch this weekend. So definitely give both of them a look and throw some money their way. They're both doing things for an awesome good cause. So yeah, there's outstanding stuff coming out of there. Outside of that, you can follow me at WonderboyOTM on Twitter, outsports.com, superherohype.com, pacemagazine.com, bunch of .coms.
I
If you
love
want to
that
check out my
Graham
stuff.
Linehan is the shitbag that keeps on giving.
Yep,
That
it's beautiful.
Merowyn, any last words for today?
Um, well, this show was a trip and a half. But I do want to send a very special thank you to both Danny and Penguin for being our final two followers in our stretch for 50.
Oh, that's right.
Um, you guys are awesome. You've supported me and Playwatch a ludicrous amount, and you know, we here at the Mr. Video Game Show are super honored to have you among our numbers as well. I know it's super late where you both are, so you'll probably catch the replay. Um, but thank you both. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, shout out to some of the stories we didn't get to this week. Ray tracing coming to Minecraft, thanks to NVIDIA. And that whole Spider-Man thing we couldn't talk about. That's good times.
Don't worry. Some of us still have things to say about that, and they'll be saying them at places such as superherohype.com, maybe.
And a whole lot of shit going to the Epic Store, including Oddworld and other sorts of things that happened, and people threw fits, and fuck them, I don't want to talk about them. Uh,
Exactly.
and Mortal Kombat 11 is getting Spawn, Terminator, and the Joker. There you go. That's everything you fucking need to know. But of course, we have been Mr. Video Games. Saturday, I'll probably stream a little bit of Dicey Dungeons around 9 p.m. Eastern. I don't know what
Sweet.
superherohype.com. Oh, yeah,
That's
okay.
the website I write for. That's the thing I write things about the
Mmm,
superheroes for.
mmm,
That's my
right.
that's my thing.
No, I don't know what
Anyway,
superherohype.com is whatsoever. No.
you're terrible. You're all terrible. Support me in my work. No, I'm not gonna go into the Reddit where like mere consumers. No, I'm not in that business today. You freeloaders. Anyway,
I always remember the outsports and paste.
I know it's okay. I got my plugs in. It's okay. I feel really weird going back over that right now. I feel really awkward. Anyway. Oh,
This has been the Mr. Video Game Live Super Show for August 27, 2019. Of course, check us out on YouTube, and at some point we'll fucking figure out how to get the images we need to go live as a For Reals podcast. But anyway, have a good night and a pleasant tomorrow.